All right, so for this video, I'm going to talk about a cool analogy that just came to my head, about like the nature of this loosh farm, which is that if you think about like the function of this loosh farm, the function of this prison planet, of this energy harvesting sort of system, right? The purpose of it is to harvest negative energy, to harvest the loosh, and the loosh primarily, right, it comes from like all of like the low vibrational emotions, all of the negative emotions, but the core state, and this is what made me come up with the analogy. The core state is the state of fear, right? The state of being afraid of the future, afraid of death, afraid of not getting this, afraid of not getting blah 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 blah. Right? All of that, like all of the anger, the sadness, the depression, the anxiety, like all of that is a result of fear, essentially, as the core state that this simulation runs off of every aspect. And so I realized that this loosh farm, this simulation, is like a haunted house. That is that it, like in terms of the functionality, in terms of how these entities operate, it's essentially something. It's designed to sort of jump scare you, right? In order to, and that sort of jump scare, is sort of that produces the loosh, right? And so you have these entities that they dress up to be all scary, to be all like they put on like the Michael Myers masks like they do in the haunted houses, right? And I've said this in another video where it's sort of like a Wizard of Oz situation where these entities pretend to be more powerful than they really are, and so yet again it's like they dress up in like a Halloween costume, metaphorically speaking, and they sort of scare you. There's like rah, like we're like the scary demons, or they'll say like, oh, okay, well they'll pretend to be Jesus, they'll pretend to be Buddha, they'll pretend to be Krishna, they'll pretend to be spirit guides, and if you don't listen to them, then you're going to hell, right? Yet again, jump scare, right? Which is, and on top of that, you have like cardboard cutouts, right, all across the haunted house, and all of this is designed to get you to act in a predictable manner, right? And that is the function of fear in this simulation, in this reality, is to get you to act in a predictable manner, because if you have a list of things that you're afraid of, then it makes you predictable in terms of like what you're going to do, right? And so that is like the function of that is sort of like a cool analogy, right? I sort of wanted to talk about, because that this realm is very much, it works very similarly to a haunted house, right? It's designed to scare you, it's designed to get you to act in a predictable way, so you go on like a set path through the haunted house, and then when you exit the haunted house at the time of death, they try to get you back into the haunted house, because and I imagine it as like you're going through it's almost like how IKEA has like it's like a maze that you go through, right? And so I imagine like you enter the haunted house, you enter the prison planet, you live a human life, and then you exit the body, right? And then there's someone on the outside of the haunted house that tries to sell you another ticket back inside, right? And this is like the whole tunnel of light, where it's like, oh, okay, like enter the tunnel of light, enter the tunnel, my child, right? What enter the tunnel, my child, or it's like your dead grandma, it's like Jesus or whatever. It's like spirit guides or guardian angels, or they're trying to get you in there, and then the life review is there, to essentially guilt trip you into buying another ticket. Oh, you didn't do enough, you didn't do good enough, you did this and that bad thing and all this other stuff, right? And then once you get into the haunted house, they wipe your memory of all the previous times that you've been in the haunted house, right? So that it's very, I think it's a very powerful analogy, right? Because of the fact that this loosh farm, this simulation, runs off of fear. Because it runs off of fear, because of the fact that it runs off of all of the emotional states that branch off of the core state of fear. It's basically a haunted house, right? It's designed to scare you into producing that energy all of the time, right? So you have all these entities, you have all these, and this is why there's always like doom and gloom in the media. This is why there's always, it's always stuff that it's like war is imminent, collapse is imminent. It's all like people arguing with each other, left wing versus right wing, the whole puppet show, right? It's designed to get people to be scared of everything, right? Yet again, it's like the jump scare, right? So it's like, yeah, you have these entities, you have like these like the media essentially dressing up in the metaphorical Halloween costume, doing rah, and then like the entire population is like, oh my god, right? And they generate that energy, right? And yet again, if you go into like the reincarnation aspect of it, so it's like you go through the haunted house, you circle through it, right? Yet again, it's like that maze in IKEA. It's like you go through all the different rooms with all the different things sort of like designed to scare you, and some people get scarier monsters than others, right? Quote unquote monsters, right? Because yet again, these are powerless entities that pretend to be powerful. Yet again, Wizard of Oz, right? Like don't, but if once you see the man behind the curtain, right? It's over, right? You can, and so you're not as predictable as if you're scared, as if you're in that state of fear, right? And but yeah, it's like you go through the haunted house, you come out the other side, and then someone tries to say that whole tunnel of light thing is like someone tries to sell you another ticket inside, and then as soon as you go inside, you forget that you bought 1,000 tickets before, and so you go through it and you generate that energy from the fear state, right? And so I think what does this teach us about the Loosh farm? What does this teach us about the energy farm? I think it teaches us to see the man behind the curtain. It teaches us to see that these entities are sort of dressed up to make themselves look bigger than they really are. Or it reminds me of like a Pennywise. Right? Pennywise, he shapeshifts into um, you know into your greatest fear, right? But and literally, how do they defeat Pennywise at the end of like the second movie? Like, I haven't watched the movies, but I have watched like the ending scene, right? Where basically what they do is they stopped, being scared of Pennywise, right? They're just like, oh, you're just a clown, right? And then he starts shrinking and then he like shrivels into like a little testicle, and then they like rip out his heart and crush it, right? So that is how demons operate. Demons are essentially, um, you know, they're essentially just like little worms, like maybe it's like WYRM, little worms, little parasites dressed up, um, in Halloween costumes that make them look scary, right? They're behind the curtain, right, operating the machinery, right, and they'll make themselves look like I'm the great and terrible Oz, right? Or I don't know if that's the exact wording for it, but yet again, it's like a cobra's hood, right? If you look at the reptilian aspect of it, is spreading out the hood to make itself look bigger than it really is, and what it shows on their part is they're afraid of us, right? Because they have to puff up their chest and like it's like the frills of a lizard, right? It's like they have to make themselves appear more powerful, appear bigger and stronger than they really are, right? And so if you see the man behind the curtain, if you see the haunted house for what it really is, if you see the cardboard cutouts, if you see that, oh, it's just people dressed in costumes, right? If you see that, then it's almost like the world's your oyster at that point, because you can act, you can sort of walk through the haunted house and someone jump scares you with the scary mask. You might be scared for a second, but you're like, oh, okay, it's just a person in a mask, get out of my way. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that is a really powerful sort of analogy or sort of mental imagery. If you want to see what the nature of this reality is or how it's designed in the same way that a haunted house is designed. You have all these entities, they're not that powerful, they're not that scary, but they dress up to be scary and to look powerful, right? And you have all these cardboard cutouts and all these structures that are designed to get you down like a predetermined path through the haunted house, and then you have like the people outside trying to sell you another ticket, and then your memory's wiped, right? And so yeah, that is a mental image that just came to my head, and I think that really is powerful. That if we want to see how little power these entities really have, if you want to see what the structure of this realm is like, it's exactly like a haunted house, right? And if you see through the fakery of it, because it's all built on fakery, it's all built on fakery designed to get you scared of essentially nothing, but it looks like something, right? These entities look powerful, they appear powerful, and that is their mechanism for survival. Is they have to appear powerful because they have no actual power, right? Yet again, like Pennywise, he has to shapeshift into something really scary to appear powerful, so that you give away your power in the form of fear, give away your energy in the form of fear, that's how these entities survive. That's how it's like Pennywise gets more scary and powerful the more you're afraid of him, but as soon as you're not afraid of him, he shrivels into a little ball, a little testicle, right? And it reminds me of like Voldemort at the end of like the Deathly Hallows Part 2, where he's like a shriveled little fetus, right? And that's what these entities are without our fear, without our without us thinking that they're, oh my gosh, they're so powerful, I can't do anything, right? If we look at if we look at the guy dressed in like a werewolf mask and think that it's actually a werewolf, instead of saying, oh, okay, it's just a costume, right? If we see that like these entities and all of like the stuff that's designed to scare us in this reality, if we see it for what it really is, which is oh, okay, it's a Halloween costume. Everything in this reality designed to sort of scare you is essentially it's like a giant Halloween costume, or it's like a cardboard cutout designed to scare you away. Instead of it's almost like, don't go this way because this bad thing will happen, right? So I just that's a really powerful mental image that just came to my head, and I think that can really help you to sort of understand and to sort of navigate, the simulation, is to understand it as essentially just, a metaphysical haunted house that's designed to sort of jump scare you away from your energy. So if you see through the Halloween costumes, if you see through, the cardboard cutouts, if you see the man behind the curtain, right, then that is a really good way to, to stop generating the loosh, stop giving away your power in the form of fear, and you end up doing the things that you want from the inside, instead of being afraid of the external circumstances, and you act in a predictable way that the system wants you, that the system wants you, and the system will use fear to get you to act in a way that the system wants you to behave, right? So, but if we remove that fear, if we see through the veil, if we see through the man behind, if we see the man behind the curtain, if we see the Halloween costumes, the cardboard cutouts, the fakery of the entire thing, if we see the haunted house for what it really is, then that is a really powerful way that we can see through the true nature of the simulation, and to be unafraid of living in our true nature, right? But yeah, that's the video.